We can start. What do you think?
Yes, yes.
Good.
A kde ho mám dát? To je jenom na tu písničku, víš? To může být. Kde je reproduktor?
Hello, hello, everybody. Great to see you guys. Say hello to our dear guest, Sylvie Delakova. I can see a lot of Polish, but also
Teď mě slyší naprosto běžně.
And Slovak.
To je jenom na tu hudbu.
Sylvie, we can hear you. Hello, hello. Great to see everybody. Is it snowing?
Ale já neslyším.
Is it snowing, Sylvie, that much as in Poland? Sylvie, you cannot hear me?
Now I can. I tried the microphone, but I lost the sound.
Okay.
So now it's okay.
Okay, so today we've got almost 170 people who enrolled. We'll see how many people come, but I see we've got plenty of people. Fantastic. And all of you are here because we've got a very special guest here in IETF Poland. We are so happy that we can host once again Sylvie Delakova, and Sylvie has once again will mesmerize us with fantastic story-based teaching. And this is for Sylvie's soft voice and great enthusiasm and great inspiration that we all come here to chill out with Sylvie instead of chilling outside here in Poland, and I assume also in Czech Republic. It's quite cold and quite snowy, but today we've got a great inspiration because Sylvie will talk about stories and how teach CLIL with stories to very young students. I'm pretty sure that you know Sylvie very well because she has been with us recently with pronunciation, but also with stories. And Sylvie is a great, fantastic teacher trainer. She's focusing on teaching English to children aged 4 to 15, and she's got more than 25 years of experience. However, I would never tell that. Recently, Sylvie's projects have received Pearson ELT Teachers Award for the best innovation. And we are so happy that we can once again see Sylvie at IETF Poland webinar. Sylvie, the floor is yours.
Thank you very much. Martin, you are flattering me. I started to blush when I heard such nice words. So first of all, I would like to apologize for my shrill voice and some attacks of cough, because I'm probably not the only one who was attacked by coronavirus. So I am in my 3rd week of treatment. I am on antibiotics, but I will do my best to conduct this webinar as fine as I can. So first of all, I would like to introduce you to story-based CLIL. So story-based CLIL is something that I invented about 9 years ago when I saw beautiful magnetic pictures, and I will show them in a minute in action. But first of all, I would like to introduce what the story-based CLIL is. So first, let's have a look at the famous quotation by Albert Einstein. If you want your children to be brilliant, read them fairy tales. If you want them to be geniuses, read them more fairy tales. And that's my credo, because first, I didn't know that stories are a fantastic means to teach English to little children. I always thought, oh, so many words in a story. I cannot tell a story to children's beginners. And then I realized that they listen even if they don't understand. And they try to understand, especially if they know the story from their mother tongue. So I started to deal with stories. And first, I used them for teaching English. Then my former colleagues, because I used to work as a kindergarten teacher, told me, why do you do that in English? We would need it in mother tongue as well, because we need to build vocabulary, fluent speech, and so on. So I started to make bilingual projects. All my stories are in two languages, some of them even in three, and good news, one story is soon to be finished in Polish, maybe even one more. So if I convince my friends to translate for me soon and to find the recording studios, then two stories will be bilingual, Polish, and actually trilingual, Polish, English, and Czech. So how can we use it in CLIL? So first, let's speak about the benefits of a story. So, first of all, children love stories. Stories are the source of information about life, about its problems, about solutions. They show good and the bad of lives. Stories develop listening skills, concentration, they build vocabulary and contribute to interaction. Repetitive dialogues of the story enable to understand and to concentrate even if they omit some details so they can remember the plot. They provide space for developing executive functions, whatever it is. I've got it from my Polish colleague, Ela Gajek. Stories can be used in all areas of learning and still something they cater for children's imagination. So now let's have a look at the aspect of CLIL. I saw a question what CLIL is in the chat box. So now it's a perfect time to explain. CLIL is actually the abbreviation for Content and Language Integrated Learning. It's a technique that combines language and contents. So, whereas in language lessons, you concentrate on teaching language, in CLIL lessons, you actually do mathematics, science, art, craft, music, and you use English as a means of communication, which means that you introduce bits and pieces of English. So CLIL develops children's interests and attitudes because they are interested in the problematics. CLIL diversifies methods and forms of classroom teaching and makes learning the language meaningful. Children can see that it's worth learning the language because they can learn something new by the means of the language skills. CLIL ideas increase motivation in children because CLIL techniques usually deal with some interesting topics, attractive topics. So it makes children find interest in the ideas and in using English. Learners develop fluency in English by using English to communicate for a variety of purposes. On a CLIL basis, fluency is more important than accuracy. But as children use language naturally, they become more and more fluent. So this is just the introduction, and now let's have a look at the theme of the story. How can we develop it? We have several areas. It's a language area, mathematics, science, art and craft, music, movement, and physical education. These are the areas where we can incorporate CLIL techniques to promote language learning. And how can we do that with a story? So you can see the picture of a story which I'm going to speak about the most. But first of all, I would like you to find my picture and click on it because I'm going to tell you the story. So can you find my picture and click so that you can see my face, and soon this board. I'm sorry that there is a reflection, but I cannot do anything with that. And I have a question. Can you guess what the two objects are? Well, actually, I can help you with this other picture, and maybe you will understand. So, it's better if you can see at least a bit of my face. So, here is Grandpa. Here is a seed. Grandpa plants the seed. The seed sleeps. The sun shines. The rain comes. The seed grows. It grows into a seedling. The sun shines. The rain comes. The seedling grows into a turnip. The sun shines. The rain comes. The turnip grows into a big turnip, a very big turnip. Grandpa decides to pull the turnip out. He pulls and pulls, but the turnip doesn't move. Grandma comes. Grandma pulls Grandpa. Grandpa pulls the turnip. They pull and pull, but the turnip still doesn't move. Granddaughter comes. Granddaughter pulls Grandma. Grandma pulls Grandpa. Grandpa pulls the turnip. They pull and pull, but the turnip still doesn't move. Zavolali pejska. Pejsek se chytil za vnučku, vnučka za babičku, babička za dědečka, dědeček za řepu. Táhnou, táhnou, řepa nic. Zavolali kočičku. Kočička se chytla za pejska, pejsek za vnučku, vnučka za babičku, babička za dědečka, dědeček za řepu. Táhnou, táhnou, řepa pořád nic. Zavolali myšku. Myška se chytla za kočičku, kočka za pejska, pejsek za vnučku, vnučka za babičku, babička za dědečka, dědeček za řepu. Táhnou, 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 najednou rup a řepa vyskočila. Oh my dear, did you understand? Well, a big part of participants did, because I noticed there are a lot of my friends, welcome, and a lot of people from the Czech Republic and Slovakia, but even the Polish people could understand because we have similar languages and the story is international. But I wanted to show you how easy it is to introduce the story when the children know it from mother tongue. Then you can tell any possible story without a word of translation. Because the children know the story, they can imagine what happens during the telling. And if you use fantastic visuals, then they can fully understand. So that was, okay, I'm sorry. Yeah, you have the idea how it looks like to tell the story in a completely different language, which you can't understand, but the children can because they have an inborn gift to understand almost any language intuitively. Yeah, they don't need much translation. They need visuals, and they need to know the story before. Then they are able to understand. Okay, so I'm going back to my seat. I promise one more story will be it will be a music story, and I go to share my screen. So I've got a lot of stories. This one is called Little Red Riding Hood. The one you have just seen is the enormous turnip. Actually, it's one of those translated into Polish, if everything goes well. So, speaking about Little Red Riding Hood, so can you imagine you tell this story in English and you practice language skills? First, it's vocabulary because you have to teach the set of so called key words. These are the words that you could see on the board, those pictures which I put on magnetic board, and some other important words. They enable children to understand the plot. Then it's model sentences. The plot usually repeats, and the children can understand more and more, and they can even able to imitate models of sentences. You can apply simple description. For example, Little Red Riding Hood is a girl. She likes red. She is nice. Wolf is an animal. It's gray. It's furry. It's not very nice. It's ugly, actually, and so on. So simple descriptive sentences. Then we apply technique called retelling the story. So we help the children to be able to repeat the story in their own words. And thus we aim to fluent production. So look at that. We can call that the set of keywords from the Little Red Riding Hood story. So what can we do if we have such a set of flashcards? We can do a lot of things. We can play a lot of games with different aims. We can promote a lot of areas of children's development and learning. Let's speak about some of them. So first, we have to make sure children can name the pictures. They know the concept of the sound and they master the pronunciation. Then it's very good if we can focus on clapping the rhythm. Once the children learn about the number of syllables, which is very important later for writing skills, reading skills, and also for intonation, because usually one of more syllables in the word is stressed. So it's an intonation pattern. Then we try to distinguish sounds, initial sounds, which two pictures begin with the same sound. In that turnip story, it's, for example, sun, soil, seed, seedling, grandma, grandpa, granddaughter. But also in the middle or final positions, it's very beneficial for potential dyslexics. So we should work with sounds very often. Then we use listening dictations, which means we dictate particular names of the pictures and children place them in order. We can develop spatial orientation and listening skills. We can develop the dictation into space. For example, take the wolf and place it above the grandma, and take the house and place it under the mummy. So they place the pictures according to our instructions, and they learn another lexical set, prepositions. One more dictation. It's very good for memory skills. You dictate 2, 3, or 4 words at a time. And only after you finish, the children are allowed to place the pictures in corresponding order, which means they have to keep the order of words in their memories. And it's a very powerful exercise. The number of words depends on the age of children. Then we can use the pictures to make categories, usually living things, non-living things, people, objects, animals. In case of the the enormous turnip, we have also the weather category and what grows. Then we can use ordering and sequencing, for example, for story reconstruction. I will show you which is the fantastic prop for story reconstruction for little children. What's missing? It's famous activity, so it again develops memory skills, but also naming the pictures, comparing two pictures, analyzing skills, or associations, thinking skills, description, riddles, and so on. It all contributes to holistic development, but mainly in the language area. So this is the work with cards. Of course, it's not the only set of cards. This was taken from the science area, and you can see a lot of pictures from the countryside, because Little Red Riding Hood has to go the long way to reach her granny's house. And she saw a lot of things and a lot of countryside elements. So why not to teach names of them by the means of those little cards? So children can learn how to say brook, path, meadow, gorge, wood, bushes, parts of the wolf's body, which are difficult in this, important in the story, and so on and so forth. So we can use a set of small cards. Then for older students, it's quite essential to show them this form of reading. It's called picture reading, and I usually use it either with very little children or with school children after 2 years of exposure to language, foreign language. Why not those 2 years? Because they learn to read in mother tongue, and they apply that skill on reading anything that has letters. And they would start reading the little red reading odd, which is obviously not desirable. So in that era, we don't expose children to a written text, to any kind of reading. But before that and after that, it's very beneficial, because children can perceive the shapes of words, and if they don't know the letters, they would remember the boxes of words, and it will contribute to their reading skills later on. So picture reading is a very good activity for either very little children or a bit older children. I mentioned pronunciation. So this is a fantastic idea which I once had, and it's called pronunciation basket. you can see the letter or the sound ah, long ah sound. So I will show you in a minute how you can fold this format, and I'm going to tell you what you can do with it. So, for example, the word grandma, this card can be put in a basket because it contains the sound, or basket, or the word harm. Unfortunately, I don't have the picture for this word. So these are the words that can be put in a basket because they contain the same vowel sound. And the basket, if folded, looks like that. Actually, I have the whole material for mastering all phonetic symbols, and even kindergarten children can master this art of reacting to the phonetic transcription symbols, but only in that recognizing form, which means we never ask them to write the symbols. If you want to know more, maybe find my pronunciation webinar from last time, from November. I explained quite in detail all this technique. These are the reading cards. So the children have pieces of text in little cards that they have to complete together to get the part of the story. This is a famous form called word clouds. Can you read a sentence out of these words? I'm pretty sure you can, but I'm not sure if you can tell me this sentence. So I am going to tell you a few. For example, Little Red Riding Hood is in the wood. Hunter is in the house. The bad wolf lies in the bed. And actually, there are about 25 sentences that the children can complete. Of course, those ones who are allowed to work with written text. Here you can see the pictures with all those characters. Whereas in the first picture, you can say, Little Red Riding Hood is under the tree. Can we say the tree is above Little Red Riding Hood? Can we say Little Red Riding Hood is to the right of the tree? Can we say the tree is to the left of Little Red Riding Hood? Can we say Little Red Riding Hood is next to the tree? Can we say the tree is next to the Little Red Riding Hood? Of course. But it's still one situation. Now look at the last picture in the first line. Little Red Riding Hood is in front of the tree. She's under the tree. She's under the hunter. She's next to the basket. She's to the right to the basket. The basket is under the tree. It's under the hunter. It's to the left of the tree, to the left of Little Red Riding Hood. Well, I'm not even halfway through because there are so many sentences that I still can say. So the children learn how to name the situation in many various sentences. Here is a set of picture cards that together give the story, the plot of the story. I call them story cards. And uh, actually, these are cards for sequencing. Children can do a lot of activities. They can line up in order of the story, everyone with one card in their hands. They can place the cards one under another to make out the story. They can accompany the story with the written text if they are older, or they can describe their card in written, and then you can make out the story from the written excerpts. So there are many ways how to use these cards. But what is fantastic, that the children can read the story out of these cards, even if they can't read the text. So each of my stories contains this set of ordering or sequencing cards. Well, how about mathematics? There are a lot of features of mathematics. For example, numbers, estimation, mathematical operations, amount, space orientation, logical tasks, problem solving, and many others. So, this is also a mathematical problem because you have to follow the path to get from one place to another. And you can say what the hunter meets or sees before he finds his dog. So the children can find their way and comment on the pictures that they pass around. Here is another mathematical activity. Baskets with certain number of apples. It's a very useful activity for estimation, calculations, and so on. How many apples? Children can generalize, so they can either write dots in the squares or numbers, and they can calculate and write mathematical symbols to make the sum. Here they can count the animal. That's another story. And you can see a 10-sided dice. If you glue the little flaps, you will get 2 dice with 10 sides, and you can count the number of young animals. Children throw the dice, and they have to produce a piece of language naming the number and the kind of animals. Now, a typical CLIL activity. Do you know how to cut an apple? Of course, in half, like this. How many parts do we have? We have two. There are two halves. How can we divide a banana among 3 children? We cut it twice to get 3 parts. They are called 3/3. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. Now we need to divide a pear into 4 parts. How can we do that? First, we have to get a regular shape. So we turn it a bit and then we cut twice like this. We have 4/4, or sometimes we say quarters. Yeah. And actually, we teach children about fractions. So look at this beautiful bunch of cherries. How many cherries are there? 5. And what if we eat 3 of them? How many are left? 2. 2/5. Is it difficult? I don't think so. If you do it with children and you let them eat the fractions, then they will definitely understand. And now, one more task, how to divide a tomato into sixths. You cut 3 times. Yeah. So you can play with fruit and vegetables and divide them into a certain number of pieces, expressing the fractions. And once the children can understand the concept, then they can match the cards and even play the dominoes or complete the worksheets. Mathematical task can be also this problem solving. Little Red Riding Hood met the hunter once on Monday, 3 times on Wednesday, and twice on Saturday. How many times did she see him that week? On which days didn't she see him at all? Which day did she meet him most times? Well, actually, teachers have nasty remarks about this task. But I just wanted to introduce the tally records. So here is the chart in which children draw tallies, the little lines, to show how many times she met the hunter on Monday, how many times on Wednesday, and how many times on Saturday. And then they can easily find the answers to the questions. And they can even work out many more other facts. Another story, The Three Little Pigs. Of course, it's not easy to build a house. You need some investment, some capital, some money to be able to build the material. So the first pig built his house for 4 days, 5 hours each day. The second pig built his house 4 hours a day for 6 days. And the third pig built his house for 5 days and spent 30 hours doing that. And three questions. Which pig built his house for the longest time? Which pig spent least time building his house? And how many hours a day did the third pig work? Another task. Here you can see I even have my own currency. It's called money units, MU, and it's unlike any other currency so that I don't have to transfer. I'm not very good at mathematics. Don't tell anyone. So my money units work in all stories. And the children solve many tasks with home economics, and they learn how to use calculations to get to the results. Now, another activity, either science or world around us. Again, we deal with vocabulary. Also, generally valid facts. What is it? What does it consist of? What do we know about it? How does it work? What is it good to know about? Then categorizing, classification, common features, working and conditional procedures, again, so useful, sequencing, problem solving. So here you can see Little Red Riding Hood again, and all the areas of countryside which we can use later for fluent speech. So here you can see pictures and word cards. You can either teach only pictures or later the written words, but definitely not by the age of 9. Yeah, let the child be ready for listening first. They can learn listening only at this initial stage of learning the language. Read and write, you can learn it any time of your life, but listening skills only in the early years and at the beginning of the process. So here we can use all the elements that we learned before. And girls and women, how good you are at reading maps. Are you so desperate as I am? My husband is unhappy about me because I usually don't understand what are the parts of the map, where to find the important information. So I really realized this handicap and I drew a map for girls to practice, to avoid this unpleasant situation. So the children can name about the way which Little Red Riding Hood has to go from her house. It's on the right hand side at the bottom, the blue house with flowers, to the grandma's house, which is on the left hand side, upper side, the brown house with pieces of grass. And they can even work out this information by the means of coordinators. So you can see the sections and the children can identify where they can find Little Red Riding Hood's house, where they can find houses, fruit trees alley, coniferous woods, meadow, rocks, ponds, brook, granny's house, and so on and so forth. This provokes a lot of speaking and the children have reason to open their mouths. Then we can think about the characters. These are so-called sentence openers for older children. If we want them to produce a piece of writing, about a wolf or a hunter or Little Red Riding Hood, we provide them with these worksheets where the sentences are started. And it's important, especially for dyslexics, because they sometimes don't know how to start the idea and they lose the time and their results are not very good. If we help them with these sentence openers, then they feel open and they can make out a sentence or finish the sentence. Now, again, what are we going to do with two baskets and a set of fruit and vegetables? Because baskets are good for uh, carrying fruit and vegetables. So we are going to sort fruit in a yellow basket, vegetables in a brown basket. So the children name the pieces of fruit and vegetables and say to which basket they would place it, or they can do it with picture cards. But we use it also for the experiment. What are we going to do? Well, we are not going to make a salad, maybe later on. Now we are going to do an experiment. Have you noticed there is water in the bowl? So we are going to place pieces of fruit in the water in the bowl, and let's have a look if they sink or float. But first, I want you to activate your knowledge and estimation. So if you think it will float, place these picture cards in this bowl in the upper part. If you think they will sink, place the pictures to the bottom part. And thus we activate children's prior knowledge and raise their interest because they now really want to know how it will go. So if the children can draw or write, then can use this worksheet. And then we continue the experiment. We take the pieces of fruit and vegetables, place in the bowl, and they can see. So how about the apple? Of course, the apple will float, the same as the lettuce. The peach will sink, the same as cherries. It's a bit difficult with blackberries. It depends on the level of their ripeness. While doing this experiment, I strongly advise you a clever thing. Try to get as huge apple as you can and as tiny cherry tomato as you can. And you will see that impact on children when you put that tiny, tiny tomato in the water and it will sink. And the huge apple will float. How is it possible? Maybe the children will come up with the idea if there is space with air, it floats. If there is none, it sinks. So this is another area of CLIL. And while working with pieces of fruit and vegetables, I thought about practical cards. So I stated more or less the weight of particular pieces of fruit and vegetables and the price. Don't forget it's money unit, my own currency, story currency. And we can set tasks for children. For example, buy 5 strawberries, 3 apples, 8 plums, and a kilo of potatoes. How much will you pay and how heavy will your basket be? And as I have cards for a lot of food and drinks and those things, so I can even bake a cake for Little Red Riding Hood's granny. Or we can solve this. You've got 12 money units and you can only carry 3 kilos. What can you buy? Ask your mom what she needs to make breakfast for your family on Sunday. Calculate the prices and the weight she has to carry to feed your family. So all these practical tasks can be solved in CLIL areas. This is called a Venn diagram. It tells about very different parts. For example, Little Red Riding Hood and a wolf. What do we know about them? Little Red Riding Hood is a girl. She wears red clothes. She lives in a house. Whereas wolf is an animal. It runs on its four. It's fairy, wild. Do the two have anything in common? And the children usually react, no. They are so different. They have nothing in common. And then I show them two fingers in their eyes, and they suddenly understand, oh, they both have two eyes. Then I make this sound. Oh, they both can breathe. And suddenly they realize the two very different characters have a lot in common. And it's very useful to let them know so that they grow into tolerant, respectful people. Music and movement. Oh, my dear, time is flying. So we can use songs which are focused on vocabulary or on the content or on story features. So, what is the importance of working with songs? Well, enormous, because by the means of songs, you can improve the atmosphere in your group. You can develop that positive, mutual positive feeling, and by the means of the song, children can remember much more and much faster than just listening to the text. So, movement, that's another part. Action games. I will show you hopefully something. Unfortunately, I found out that it's not possible to let you listen to the song, so I'm going to sing it. And the task for the text for all their students is mark the word classes in different colors. So they were asked to circle or write ovals around. Adjectives, yellow, nouns, red, blue for verbs, and green for possessive adjectives. So this is the result, and we can sing the song. Deep dark greenwood is his home, big bad wolves there all alone, with no friends and with no food. He is skinny to his bones, scary, fairy, wild and bad. Big grey wolf is crossed and sad. To get food he's playing tricks, cheating as if he was mad. Oh, my dear, it's difficult to sing with coronavirus. Oh, my dear. Sorry, it was definitely not very nice, but I will do my best with the other song. Here you can see the song focused on on a process, sequencing. This is the Little Red Hen story, and it's focused on how the wheat grows into flour. Actually, into flour, because the hen bakes the bread out of flour. So you can see the text of the story. The reading children get the strips of the text, and if they complete the text of the song in the correct order and they turn over the strips, they will get the picture that you can see on the right hand side. It's the little reward that they completed it correctly. Again, another song from the very same story. It's called Helping Song. I will try to sing it because it's fantastic. If I need a little help, if I am in need, I know you are always there, you're my friend indeed. When I'm stuck and my work's tough, you'll give me a hand. Yes, you'll help me with my stuff, you're my dear best friend. So this is the first part, and the second verse is opposite. If you need a little help, if you are in need, you know I am always there. I'm your friend indeed. So it's a great element of friendship. And again, the same idea. If they complete the text out of little strips, they get the secret message. It's great to have a friend we can share. So this is the example of secret messages. And now you recognize the story, and I'm going to jump out of the presentation again. I will clean my little seed and big turnip story. And hopefully I'll be able to sing the song again for you. So I go to the floor. Hopefully you will see everything. Yeah. Once there was a little pig who built a little house. He built it out of straw, not the best without a doubt. When the big bad wolf came round and knocking on the door, the little pig said, no, 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 no and never more. And what happened next? The big bad wolf took a deep breath and he huffed and he puffed and he blew the house down. Then the second little pig built a little house. He built it out of wooden sticks and nailed it all about. When the big bad wolf came round and knocking on the door, the little pig said, no, 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 no and never more. And what happened next? The big bad wolf took a deep breath and he huffed and he puffed and he blew the house down. The third and clever little pig built a little house. He built it out of solid brick, built it safe and sound. When the big bad wolf came round and knocking on the door, the little pig said, no, 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 no and never more. And what happened next? The big bad wolf took a deep breath and he huffed and he puffed and nothing happened. He huffed again and he puffed again and again nothing happened. The wolf climbed up the chimney and took a look inside. There he saw the little pigs, all three side by side. He shouted down the chimney and made a big mistake. He fell into the boiling pot and howling ran away. Oh, whoa, 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 whoa. And what happened next? Nothing. That's the end of the story. So this is another song from the story which I like the most, and this is another story to be translated into Polish. Actually, it's almost finished. We only look for recording studio near Wrocław. So if you know about any, can you let me know either via Facebook or write me an email and give me that piece of advice so that we can record the songs, the story, and offer you the bilingual version for that. Okay, so we have still 2 minutes. I hope you won't mind if we spend a few more. So we sang a song about the whole content of the story, and the children can remember. I can tell you, I have a 4-year-old granddaughter who travels long distances with us, and we usually listen to this song in a car. And she knows it since she was 3. So she's able to sing it. You can see her on my website in pictures and videos, because I rehearsed this story in summer school with children, and you can see the children how they acted in the story, and she took part even if she was too young to participate with the song. Unfortunately, she was so sleepy that she forgot to sing a bit, but she did her best. Okay, here you can see the movement song, the action song. So the leader says the name of one animal, and all the players must react in the following way. So if you say rabbit, the children squat and make long ears with their fingers. If you say piggy, the children have to squat down on the floor and roll. If you say wolf, children jump up and catch anybody who is close who hasn't jumped up yet. If they can't find such a slow player, they have to howl. "Ooh!" Okay, during the game, the leader can confuse the children if he or she says piggy but squats or makes the long ears. If anyone makes a mistake, they are out. So this is a very funny game, and the children love playing it. Art and craft. Here we can make sure the children master the pencil control grip and release the wrist to get, how to say that, the skill or the art of pencil control, I would say. Yeah. Fine motor skills, visual representation of the language, color perception, assembly and construction. This all we can do in art and craft. So, for example, in House in a Wood, which is another story, the children can either draw the planks on the house or make holes for the birds' eggs, or show how the animals move, which way they follow the line. Here they practice again tracing the line, or they can practice cutting skills. It's completely up to you. Here is a part of the story which I'm going to tell you. One helpless hen is wandering round the yard. And in the rhythm of this chant, children draw one line from one dot to another in a rhythmical way. And as the rhyme is quite long, they have many opportunities to trace the lines. 3 little pigs again. Small children can draw and color in the pigs. The bigger ones can write or draw what happened to the little pigs or what kind of houses they built. This is also quite good. It's about perception and, oh, I cannot find the right word. Uh, Perspective. Yeah, perspective. Because little children usually react, oh, poor cat, it has no legs, because they can't see any. So you have to speak about a picture. Does it really have no hands, but no legs? But the cats usually have 4. Is it possible she has 4 legs? Only we can't see them. Why can't we see them? And the children suddenly realize the magic of perspective. Oof. So that's all from me. But now I would like to say a few more things about my project. So you can take a picture to find more information. You can either find it in a story-based learning page on my Facebook, or you can go to my website, which is www.sylviad.cz, And in the e-shop, you can find all the stories I was talking about. Each set contains from, are you sitting comfortably? From 200 up to 550 activities in one language. So it's an enormous lot because I really immerse in creating activities, going with one story and forget about place, time, family, whatever. And I just pile the activities. And then I have the problem because teachers usually don't believe there are so many. So if you want to try, I would be more than pleased. You can download from my e-shop. You can pay with, I think, PayPal or something like that. And, well, maybe you can try and you will find that it's really worth working in that story-based CLIL project. So now I'm going to jump out of the presentation and I would like you to ask questions. So I can see the chat. I don't think I would be able to hear you. Maybe I would if you switch your microphone. Probably you can try. If you have a question, feel free to ask whatever you want to.
Moment. I would like to say one thing. I think it's impossible for a regular participant to ask questions because I used to be a regular participant today at the beginning of your webinar, and then
Mhm.
Martin enabled me to join you with camera and the possibility of turning on my
Okay,
microphone. So we
sorry.
would have to resort to reading questions, some of the questions, in the chat box. Yes, so
Okay,
I will just have a look at the chat box and I will see, basically what I see in the chat box is that everybody is happy and everybody is impressed the way you've been telling us about this wonderful technique, which I, by the way, personally I also used when I was teaching my daughters. So that was very, very
yeah,
efficient method, to tell you the truth. They were listening, not only reading the stories, but just listening the stories. And without, as you said in your webinar today, without necessarily understanding everything, they were able to follow the main thread of the story. So this is a very efficient method, and I can confirm it myself.
yeah,
So people sent greetings, people said
yeah.
that they are happy.
Okay, sorry, Lucina. I don't want to forget one question which was
Yes.
on my screen a minute before. There was the question if they can use the stories with 11 to 13-year-old students. Actually, it very much depends on their mentality and the way you introduce the story and you work with the story. So if you focus their attention on the form, you tell them this is a traditional story, let's focus on its content, and I've got a few tasks for you, then they sure will cooperate. But if they are students that with different interests and backgrounds, then it might be a bit more difficult.
And we have, I would like to quote this one for you. One of the participants in today's webinar shared her own personal story with us. Let me read it for you. Yes,
Okay.
never underestimate the language learning capabilities. This morning I was hesitating to tell a riddle about clock. I wanted them to find the word clock to start teaching them time. I thought to myself, maybe they will not be able to understand the new words, but it was a success. To my true beginners. Yes,
Yeah.
so that's how it can be successful? I just wanted.
Actually, little children can be fantastic. In the autumn, I started to make series of videos for little children, and I wanted to show the parents and the teachers that you don't have to translate at all. So if you want to go to YouTube to find under my name, 8 parts of My English Garden mini course for children's beginners, then you will see that they really don't need anything, any translation, any explanation to be able to grab the meaning of the target language. You can use the videos, they are free. You can use them in your lessons if you want to. Um, and of course, you can use my stories.
Yes, sure. And
Gestures and body language. Yeah, I'm sorry. I'm sorry.
yes, you
I
found
forgot to
another
tell.
reply. Keep going, Sylvie,
Yeah,
because it's
because it's non-verbal communication that helps them understand. So it's 80% of the message. So only 20% is that English that we are supposed to teach. So why don't we use 80% of means that we naturally have in gestures, facial expressions, visuals, objects, a tone of the voice? So we can use all these means to interpret the meaning of the target language. Okay, the name of YouTube channel, Sylvia Dolakova. It's my name. Yeah. I think I will soon put some links into my website, but you definitely find the videos in my Facebook story-based page. Yeah, I put the links there. The link for my web Facebook page, you can find it on my website. So if you can still see the slide with my website, then you will be able to find the information. Okay. Any other question? Maybe I would be able to
I
change
don't see
screen.
anything here. I see many useful suggestions from webinar participants. Like, for example, somebody quoted a classic textbook, English Through Pictures, in 3 volumes. So some useful pieces of advice. And before I forget, because it's of key importance, I would like everybody who is still in the room to remember that Sylvie is going to continue with her webinars for us, and her next webinar, titled "When Grammar is Fun," will take place on Monday, the 19th of April, the same time. Yes, so I will just copy it and paste it into the chat box, so that if somebody wants to make a note of it, so that, because it's a bit of time, so I have pasted it into the chat box, when grammar is fun with Sylvie, to take place. So I would like to thank you for today's webinar. As usual, you have such positive involvement, emotional involvement, that I myself, in spite of the fact that at present I am not teaching young learners, I really enjoy listening to you, and I learn a lot from you, although I teach adult learners. So these methods are
Thank
also
you.
implementable with my adult
Definitely.
learners. Storytelling is one of the key skills for professionals, for leaders
Yeah,
especially.
definitely. Yeah, I
Thank you.
can agree. And there is never enough storytelling. Don't
Yeah,
forget this fact.
yes,
Okay,
absolutely.
so thank you very much for your attention and for active participation. And probably we will meet again on the 19th of April over the grammar. So
Yes.
have a nice evening, and
You,
and
you,
everything Positively positive.
Yes, and lots of health to you, Sylvie. Lots of
Thank
health to
you.
you.
Thank
Fingers
you.
crossed.
Bye.
Bye.